Chris Peaks here tonight with Robert McCollum, who just shook up the 2024 election cycle that is shaking the quarters of the powers that be in Montgomery. Has announced he has pulled out of the Tallapoosa probate judge race and is now focusing his sight on the Public Service Commission and taking down President, the incumbent Twinklecavanaugh. Robert, how are you tonight? Thank you for coming on, man.
I'm great. How about you?
I'm excellent. So tell me, Robert, what made you decide to pull out of this probate judge race and instead focus on the Public Service Commission president?
The fact that the Public Service Commission needs a complete and total overhaul. The fact that Twinkle's never seen a light bill she didn't want to raise. And the fact that they continue to steal millions and millions of dollars from Alabama ratepayers through the hidden tax scam.
Now, for those of you who don't understand, I'll give a brief synopsis. The hidden tax, every year you hear Twinklecavanaugh come out and say she has given $10 million to the general fund, but she never got the money from the general fund to begin with. The Public Service Commission gets all their fundings from the utility company, who then pass it on to the ratepayers and overcharge them each month. A windfall is accumulated, and at the end of the year, she is sending that money to the general fund so the legislatures can get their hands on it and build pet projects up in North Alabama. When she is hemmed up on this, she will try to blame it on the legislature's fault. Well, you can't have it both ways, Twinkle. Is that a fair assessment, Robert?
Yes, that is a fair assessment. And how you can blame it on the legislature is beyond me, because this is a vote taken by all three commissioners every year.
And from my last figures, it had totaled, since she's been the president of the Public Service Commission, upwards to $125 million in taxes on the citizens of Alabama.
You know, that's a lot of money that could go back into citizens of Alabama's pockets.
Well, tell me if I'm wrong. What should happen is after this money is accumulated, it should go back to Alabama Power, who should then issue rebates to the ratepayers, correct?
I certainly agree with that.
But from my understanding, what they're doing is she's sending it to the pet projects up in North Alabama that is relegated by what am I relegated? What word I'm saying? What's the word I'm looking for? Not relegated.
Regulated.
Regulated by the Tennessee Valley Authority. So it doesn't even fall up under what the Public Service Commission's doing. They're spending money on projects up there that 2/3 of the state will never receive any benefit from.
That's correct.
And this is just, no end in sight, and then they deny it. How do they get by with denying this?
Through a little technicality that they probably paid a lawyer a pile of money to draw up and word a certain way, so the average citizen couldn't understand it.
I believe what it says is it's a way to increase revenue receipts, which is just another way of saying taxes, correct?
Yes.
Is there any other things that we need to brought their attention? I've heard. What are your opinions on a couple of years ago them spending $500,000 on travel?
I don't see how, especially when Twinkle ran for the Public Service Commission. She bragged about how she wanted to cut wasteful spending. If anything, she's increased wasteful spending during her time at the Public Service Commission.
Do you have any idea how they could be spending $500,000 on travel? I mean, doing what?
I don't know, but in 2022, when I traveled the entire state campaigning, I spent nowhere near that in travel. I may have spent maybe 0.1% of that. So where $500,000 is being spent on in travel is beyond me.
So that is one of your main priorities is to end this hidden tax that Twinkle-Cavanaugh has bestowed on the citizens of Alabama.
Yes, and make sure rebates are provided to the ratepayers in Alabama.
She claims on being a conservative, fighting the liberals. Well, liberals have always been, Democrats have always wanted to take care of the poor. And now, she's raising, these, has this hidden tax. That's not a liberal or conservative thing, in my view. That is a nonpartisan thing about doing the right thing.
She raised the people of Alabama's rates 4 times after the 2022 election.
And let's not also forget that she raised them 2 days after Commissioners Oden and Beaker secured re-election.
That's correct. And let's not forget about her coming out and saying that she is going to oppose a project which Alabama Power had already abandoned in the first place. And I'm talking about the Chandler Mountain Project, which the Public Service Commission has no authority in regulating whatsoever. That falls under the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. It does not fall under the Public Service Commission whatsoever.
What do you think about Twinkle's ads she runs fighting the liberal Biden agenda, pro-Second Amendment, pro-life? How are these things relevant to what is going on with everyday people's power bills?
They're not relevant. Twinkle's doing what she thinks, and saying what she needs to say to get reelected. Saying what she thinks she needs to say to get reelected. Granted, it worked for Beaker and Oden because the opponents of Beaker and Oden did not have the funding to get the correct message out. So they just fell for the scam by con artists.
What other ideas do you have going on in this? Have you considered open rate hearings?
I have.
Is that on top of your agenda?
It is on the table.
Are the Public Service Commission and Alabama Power, are they, two heads of a serpent that are?
Well, it's more or less Alabama Power is controlling the Public Service Commission at this moment. Commissioners Cavanaugh, Oden, and Beaker are kind of like pawns, and Alabama Power is the king. The king is moving its pawns around, controlling them, doing what they need them to do.
Now, is it not also true that under Kavanaugh's watch, I don't know what it was before then, but we spent with the formula that Commissioner Oden has put forth, that Alabama Power is given a 14.5% profit margin and is his third highest in the nation?
That is correct. Wonderful formula, Commissioner Oden. Whereas Georgia, Florida, other states around us are at 9%.
And if I'm not mistaken, I read something that per capita we pay, or percentage-wise, our power bills are higher than the state of California.
Yeah, well, if you look at the cost of living here versus the cost of living in California, and you do the math, yes, our power bills are higher than in California.
When they do rate increases, do they give reasons?
Right now, they have informal hearings where Alabama Power executives do not have to come in and put their hand on the Bible and take an oath.
So in these hearings, what happens? They go behind closed doors?
Closed door hearings.
And Alabama Power tells them, hey, we need this rate increase, and the commissioners just go along with it?
Well, according to the wonderful formula created by Commissioner Oden that he bragged about how he helped to create, if Alabama Power does not make that minimum profit, then under that formula, the power company can go in and ask for a rate increase and it be granted. Because of
And
that.
we have Commissioner Oden to thank for this formula, and I'm sure the other commissioners went along with that.
I believe they went along with it tooth and nail.
Now, as president of the Public Service Commission, she sets what they talk about during the meetings.
Yes. She sets the meeting agenda.
And what exactly goes on? I mean, during their meetings, have you been to one? Do you know what they talk about?
I have not been to one. But from what I see with what's coming out of the Public Service Commission, undoubtedly the meetings consist of how they can screw over the Alabama ratepayers and still get reelected.
Now, did they offer any reasons why they raised rates 4 times over a 4-month period last year?
Yeah, they did, and it was the stupidest reasons I ever heard in my life. Because cost of fuel went up. Well, I understand that for the first rate increase, but the other 3 fuel costs went down each time.
Well, you know what? The only problem with that is that rate increase should have been done earlier because gas had dropped like 60 cents a gallon by the time they passed that one after Beaker and Oden got reelected.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how does that make you feel as, having been defeated by Beaker in a bitter primary? And then after securing re-election, was that not the biggest in your face to the Alabama voter out there?
Well, I kind of feel like the night I was defeated by Baker, I believe I kind of felt like Trump did in 2020 when he lost to Joe Biden.
How so?
Oh, well, when the guy goes and speaks somewhere, I mean, he can't complete a sentence unless he has a sheet of paper with everything typed out in front of him. He hid in his basement throughout the whole campaign, and the only reason he even come out and campaigned because polls had him behind.
Now, you've got a uphill battle, but it's not insurmountable. Let me ask you point blank: are you going to go along with the Biden deal?
No, I'm going to do everything I can within my powers as PSC president to fight against it.
Are you a liberal?
I am far from a liberal.
Are you lined up with liberal environmentalists seeking to take away our coal jobs?
I'm not. I am a proud supporter of coal jobs. I actually, when I first graduated high school, I actually worked in a mine for part-time.
So you are a working man who's been in business for himself. You know what it's like to have to make sacrifices to keep a company successful.
Yes, no doubt.
And undue power bills, hidden taxes, that's not a conservative approach to how to handle.
It is not. And if I can go into this just for a little bit, a conservative, supports jobs, I would think. When Commissioner Kavanaugh was elected president of the PSC, she cut 30% of the jobs. That's good paying jobs for good pay for the good people of Alabama that she just basically put out of work. And another thing, Twinkle is beholden to her donors. She's going to do whatever her donors tell her to do. She claims to be a Christian conservative, but I don't think a Christian conservative would take a donation from the Alabama Beer Association. Heads up, Bud Light's probably going to sponsor the next PSC meeting because of that.
Let me ask you this right here too. Speaking of man of the Christian conservative, Christ in his teachings said to take care of the poor. Do you think she is looking after the poor citizens of Alabama with rate increases?
No, Twinkle is looking after trying to be lieutenant governor. She's looking after Twinkle.
A career politician, deeply entrenched. She, like I said, looking out for herself. Do you know of any time she has ever voted against a rate increase?
I don't. Let me go into this right quick. I got to thinking about something, and one of Will Ainsworth's ads he ran against her said Twinkle supported the biggest tax increase in Alabama history. I wonder if Will was talking about the hidden tax at the PSC.
Could it very well been? I mean, because I've seen it right. And here's what people don't understand. Let me touch so much on this, hidden tax too. When they raise your rate increases, the tax goes up that much more.
Mm-hmm. I think you should be asking Will if that's what he was talking about.
I will try to reach out to the lieutenant governor, but he's gonna he's beholden to the special interest groups. He came out and endorsed those last time. The Beaker and Oden last time, and you have to answer why. Why? Twinkle is the golden cow. I mean, the dollars are going to come out with these hit pieces. That's why I want to ask you these questions. Let's get it out there. You're not a liberal, not trying to take away jobs, not beholden to the New Deal. What we got to focus on, I think, is sending a message to the people. Look, Twinkle Cavanaugh no longer can run on a catchy name and a catchy slogan. She has a record to run on.
I mean, Donald Trump made fun of her name at the Republican dinner. I mean, that's kind of hilarious.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What other changes have you thought of that you would do besides open rate hearings, ending the hidden tax? I imagine redoing the formula would be on your list too.
Yes. Well, the first thing I would do is fire Twinkle's staff on day one. I'd fire every one of them.
Yeah, bring in your own people.
Yes, on day one they'll have two options. They will either be fired or they can resign.
The other thing is, if you thought about that, redoing the formula that Commissioner Oden has came up with to just increase the profits for Alabama Power, or is that something you'd have to look into?
Yes, on day one when I'm elected, I will put my staff together and we will create a proposal that is satisfactory to the people of Alabama and is satisfactory to the business interests.
Because let me get it understanding. You're not anti-Alabama Power.
No.
Alabama Power should make a profit, just
Agreed.
not at the.
For a business to strive, a business has to make a profit.
Correct. So you want there to be a happy medium between the citizens of Alabama and the power company.
I think there needs to be. We can't keep going on and on like we're going with Twinkle bending over backwards to give the power company whatever they want, whenever they want it.
And the other two follow right in line because they're afraid they will be Terry Dunned if they go against any of it.
In my opinion, Jeremy and Chip are like two dogs on a leash. When Twinkle comes to the PSC, she's got them both on a leash, pulling them on in.
Is there any other plans that you have that you would like to enact?
Well, one of my plans is working toward making it a requirement for PSC commissioners to come to work a minimum of, at the very least, 3 days a week.
I don't think that's too much to ask. And we're paying them $100,000 a year, state car, state cell phone, insurance. The least we could, expect is for them to show up to work.
I agree. They should. Yes, they shouldn't be able to. They shouldn't be able to work from home. I mean, what is this? We're not in. We're not in COVID times anymore.
So you have sounds like a populist message that you're delivering to the people of Alabama. Do you think that they will resonate with this?
I certainly hope they will. If they do not, what they can expect is more higher power bills.
And it will just continue and continue and continue.
It will continue and continue and continue until the people of Alabama get tired of it, which we thought they were tired of it in 2022, but undoubtedly they needed 2 more years of high power bills to see if they are or not.
So is it time to drain the swamp and get this swamp star out of there?
It's time to take a mop and a mop bucket and go down to that PSC office and scrub it out.
Scrub it out, taking out the trash.
Mm-hmm.
Robert, is there anything else you would like to add to this tonight?
Don't forget to go vote March 5th, 2024.
Is it March 5th or March 25th?
March 5th.
March 5th. Robert, good luck, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too, buddy.